No, your wife isn't sleeping with you because she doesn't like intimacy. The reason why she's not sleeping with you is because she is exhausted.
Where are the women who want to have sex with their husbands? I am genuinely confused as to where you are. If you just had really crappy partners, and maybe even as much as you love your husband, is he sort of crappy at sex?
Is going to be like a knife in the heart to their attachment. And the sexual relationship has gone down the tubes. Really think about it. If you don't feel emotionally safe in a relationship, how could you possibly open up your body and be that vulnerable?
Reason why she may not be as interested in sex as she used to be is that she is tired. If you're the type of man that your wife is doing 90% of the domestic work, then shame on you.
The primary reason why women stop having sex with their husbands is because they don't feel emotionally safe. And the reason that they don't feel emotionally safe is because their attachment needs are not being met inside of their relationship.
Hello guys, welcome to my new video. It's 10:30 p.m. The house is finally quiet. The kids are asleep, the emails have stopped pinging, and for the first time all day, you are finally alone with your partner. This should be your time. But instead of connection, there's a heavy, unspoken weight in the room. You're not thinking about intimacy, you're thinking about how fast you can get to your pillow. You love them, you want them, but your body feels like it's operating on 2% battery. If you've ever felt the guilt of turning away because you're simply too tired to exist, you aren't failing at your relationship. You're experiencing the fatigue gap. Today, we're going deep into the science and the psychology of why exhaustion is the ultimate desire killer. We'll look at how chronic stress rewires your brain to prioritize survival over intimacy, and more importantly, how you and your partner can bridge that gap without adding more to-dos to your plate.
The more problems a woman has to solve on her own, the less attractive her partner becomes. I recently saw this TikTok and this woman was talking about how in her 30s, her libido is the highest it's ever been, how she was very happy with her intimate life and how intimacy in your 30s is not like it is in your 20s. And this man made a comment and he said, yeah, all the women except married women. And in my mind, I thought, you really thought you were accomplishing something by making this comment when really you were just telling on yourself. Because as a dating strategist who's worked with hundreds of women from across the world, whose clientele is 80% women over the age of 30, this is what I know for sure. It's not that married women don't enjoy intimacy. It's that they don't enjoy being intimate when they feel exhausted. And oftentimes, as women get older, their love language will change. Before marriage and children, words of affirmation really cut it for her. A quick I love you before you went out the door. But after marriage and children, a lot of women feel like their identity has been erased in motherhood. They can start to feel invisible because they're starting to carry the mental and emotional weight of an entire household. And they're spending their entire day looking out for everyone else. And so unless her partner is able to do certain things for her that make her feel seen, cherished, and valued for what she brings to the household, then of course her attraction towards you is going to dwindle. So no, your wife isn't sleeping with you because she doesn't like intimacy. The reason why she's not sleeping with you is because she is exhausted while you're making random comments on people's social media when you said you were going to take out the garbage, shovel the driveway, and clean out the tub drain that you said you were going to do 3 fucking weeks ago.
The reason why that lady only giving you sex once every 3 weeks or once a month or once every couple months is because you're not being the person that she needs you to be. You're not being the man that she needs you to be. I guarantee you, if you think about it, there's some things that she has asked you for that and it doesn't even have to be financially, but there's some things that she has required of you, whether it was to take the trash out at a decent time or fix something in the house that you're not fixing, or she's having an issue with the kids and you want to address it as a man, or there's something going on with her car and she needs your help and she's been telling you and you're not listening. Y'all be wanting women to give y'all sex and y'all not even being the person that they need y'all to be. I ever heard the saying, happy wife, happy life? If you get that woman what she want, I promise you she'll fuck you more. She'll probably fuck you every day. But you got to give her what she want. The energy that you give her is the energy you're going to get back. If you're not being who she needs you to be, she's not going to be who you need her to be. Women feed off of you. So if you're a good person to her, if you're a good spouse to her, she's going to be a good person or a good spouse back to you. It's really just that simple. Like, y'all make it difficult when it comes to women and their happiness, but a woman's happiness is actually very simple. Just be the person that she needs you to be. I mean, that's what it's all about anyway, right?
Where are the women who want to have sex with their husbands? I am genuinely confused as to where you are. I am speaking to far too many women who are like, yeah, I can go the rest of my life without sex. I don't really care. I could take it or leave it. What happened to you? Why don't you know how good it can be? Is it that you never had a good experience? That you were taught somehow that sex was bad or shameful? If you just had really crappy partners, and maybe even as much as you love your husband, is he sort of crappy at sex? I want to know what's happening. Why don't you want it? Your life deserves pleasure. And there's so much pleasure to be had. What is happening?
This is the biggest reason that women stop having sex with their husbands, and I know what's coming in the comment section, and I don't care. Because I have to spit the truth. And yes, I do know what I'm talking about. I know, Stuart, you're going to comment and say, well, maybe it's this, this, and this, and you're going to get kind of mad about what I have to say, but here's the deal. I have a doctorate in social psychology. I've spent my entire adult life studying romantic relationships, the science of romantic relationships, both studying the science as well as publishing in the science. And so I am very well versed in this topic, not to mention that I've seen thousands of clients and heard from thousands of women about why they won't have sex with their husbands. So, you know, Joe, if you know better, for sure put it in the comments, but I think I have some credibility. And if this is a problem in your relationship, you might want to humble yourself and take a seat and hear what I have to say. The primary reason why women stop having sex with their husbands is because they don't feel emotionally safe. And the reason that they don't feel emotionally safe is because their attachment needs are not being met inside of their relationship. Attachment needs are our deepest needs inside of a romantic relationship. And if those things are not fulfilled, we will not feel emotionally safe. And especially for women, when there is a lack of emotional safety, they start feeling very unsafe giving their bodies to their partner, and they start to feel extremely unattracted to their partner. They simply can't get physically turned on by their partners anymore. So if you're not familiar with my content, you might be asking, how do I know what their attachment needs are? Well, there's a lot of information about attachment out there. You could dig through my videos and you could probably very easily figure out the attachment style of your partner. Attachment science has been around since 1958. It's been studied empirically in thousands of empirical studies. Go to PubMed, the studies are out there, okay? Or you can work with me and I'm happy to assess the attachment of your partner. And here's what you need to know. The different attachment styles have very, very different needs. So knowing the attachment style of your partner is really the keys to the kingdom and getting all your needs met inside of the relationship as well. So the anxious preoccupied, their biggest need is love, affection, and reassurance. So they need lots of reassurance every single day that you love them, that the relationship is stable, and that you are in fact appreciative of them. And they really have all the love languages. They just want lots of reassurance of your love, okay? The fearful avoidant, I just did a video on this. Their biggest need is to be able to feel seen, heard, and understood in the relationship, aka trust you to show up for them in a way that feels good to them. Okay, so really leaning into seeing, hearing, and understanding them and making a lot of space for their feelings is super important. For the dismissive avoidant woman, it's going to be space, autonomy, and lack of criticism, aka peace and harmony inside the relationship. So a lot of times what I see is that women are expressing my emotional needs are not met, aka their attachment needs, and I physically cannot get turned on by my partner anymore. In fact, they start to get disgusted, like they get the ick, so majorly bad. And could you open up your body and allow someone to penetrate your being if you feel disgusted by them? They feel like they're violating themselves and someone is violating them. And trust me, I do videos on why meeting a man's sexual needs is very important inside of a relationship. So I'm definitely not one-sided on this. I'm just trying to share the woman's side here. And I know I may get roasted in the comments by the men, and I'm expecting it, and I don't care. And none of my self-esteem comes from what, Bob thinks, right? But I know that I'm going to have a lot of women in the comments shouting, thank you. Thank you for saying what's been so hard for me to say or what my husband is not hearing. So there you go. The haters just boost the algorithm. So.
All right. So it's been a minute since I did a video, so I apologize for that. Okay. So I want to talk about my audience that I'm talking to in this particular video. I'm talking to real people who are married for reals, who live regular lives. So not this fake internet life where, you know, it's talking about this level of sexuality and this is happening and boss and all that type of stuff. That's cool. I'm just talking to the everyday man that has an everyday wife. And so a lot of times as men, we are kind of frustrated because we say, hey, you know, when I first met my wife, she was hot and always wanted to have sex, and our relationship was passionate. We got kids now, we got a life now, and all of a sudden all that has dissipated or waned down quite a bit. This is my advice to you. One of the reasons why, and this just may be a reason, one of the reasons why she may not be as interested in sex as she used to be, is that she is tired. If you're the type of man that your wife is doing 90% of the domestic work, then shame on you. So in other words, if she's taking care of the kids a majority of the time, putting them to sleep, bathing them, cooking for them, if she's doing most of the cleaning, if she's doing the errands, paying the bills, you know, just doing the domestic thing, and you're going out there and doing your thing and earning, you know, the keep, if you would, then yes, she's going to be physically and emotionally worn out. And so therefore, she doesn't have not just the mind or mental capacity and emotional capacity, but even the physical capacity. The reason why it was so hot and heavy when you were young, there were no worries. The only thing she thought about was you and the fun that you had. And the second reason that I will give you is that you are no longer stimulating her emotionally and romantically. I mean, you worked hard at the beginning to get her excited about you. And now that you're married, you know, every day is the same. You're boring. You're not doing anything spontaneous. You're not doing anything romantic. Oh, and my wife doesn't want to have sex with me. I wonder why. Tell me what you think.
So, this is an excellent question. How many times can you reject your man before it does become neglect? So there is no exact metric or exact number because everyone's different. And this essentially all boils down to expectations. And this is why it is so important to know who you're marrying or know who you're entering a long-term partnership with. You should be asking your partner their expectations, especially when it comes to sex and intimacy. How many times a week? Great. If I can't meet that need or that expectation of yours, how will you react? Okay, in that hypothetical situation, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm anxious. This all comes down to how you view sex. Is it a de-stressor? Does it stress you? These are all communicative conversations you should be having with a partner before you even think about marriage. And here's another important point you should be discussing. And I'm so surprised that couples don't talk about this when they do want children. If you and your partner, I do not. I am child-free by choice. Me and my husband both are. But if you do want children, that 6 to 12-week period that your doctor recommends that you do not engage in any sexual activity, how are you going to cope? How are you going to support each other? Have these discussions. It's so important. So, because those 6 to 12 weeks, that's a good amount of period of time that you're not going to be able to meet that expectation. If your husband does have one, how is he going to react? How are we going to deal with it? How are we going to support each other while you're healing from literal physiological trauma? Also, if months go by and you don't want sex with your partner, that is a conversation you should be having with each other because life happens. We get stressed, we get depressed, we go through anxiety. Life is stressful. You should be able to come to your partner and say, hey, can we talk about what's going on? Should we seek therapy? Let's get a couples therapist. That is a healthy relationship. You don't sit here and pressure your partner into having sex with you simply because it's been months. You discuss what's going on. That's it. It's about consent. It's about respect. And that has been my whole point in these conversations. Your partner, who you marry, should be a safe place for you to land and to come to discuss these issues and then possibly seek professional help if they continue to fester. And you should never feel pressure or never feel this idea that you have to put out simply because it's been a couple of months, just so your partner doesn't leave you, doesn't cheat on you, doesn't be led astray, or punish you for simply not wanting to be intimate at that moment.
Morning, loves. Hope you all had a great night. I recently had a very interesting conversation with a married man, and his marriage has encountered some tough times, and most of the tough times, quite frankly, were initiated by him. He had multiple affairs, all kinds of things happened, and I'm telling this story not to be critical, because people must live how they feel they need to live, but I'm telling this story because it brought something up for me. He was telling me that part of his frustration with his wife is that she doesn't initiate sex. And I know that women, there's a lot of reasons why we don't initiate sex. And there's some cultural things, some psychological things. Women are supposed to wait on men. You know, women are not supposed to enjoy sex. Women are not supposed to enjoy sexuality. Like, it's a whole thing, especially if you've been churched and come from Caribbean, African backgrounds, Latina backgrounds. You know, sex is supposed to be this cloak and dagger thing where we're not supposed to talk about it, discuss it. Somehow we're miraculously supposed to get our sex needs met, our intimacy needs met, but we're not having these conversations with our partners. Men, what I want you to understand and hear is that it is part of our cultural bringing up as being a woman. And in addition to that, women have to feel safe with you. Now, hear what I'm saying. And I know I'm going to get some blowback for this, but women will have a hard time initiating sex, intimacy with you because you've cheated. Because you disqualify her and invalidate her feelings, because you don't see her as a person, but you just lust over her and see her as an object. When you want sex, that's when the only time when you speak to her or even act like you like her is when you get in the bed with her. But all day long, the week before, whatever, you don't connect with her. Women need connection. We need connection. We need to feel connected with you in order to feel safe, in order to feel comfortable to have sex. And I'm talking about men that we actually care about and want to connect with. I'm not talking about casual crap, because a lot of women can just have sex with anyone, anytime, anywhere, and that's your business. I'm talking about the men who genuinely want connection with their wife, want to have sex with their wife and feel like they don't have enough sex. She has to feel safe with you. I can't tell you any other way. So if she's not initiating sex, if she's not being all warm and fuzzy with you, why don't you take a step back and review your behavior with her versus ignoring her, dismissing her, and making her feel like it's her fault. Love and light. Cheers.
Here's something I wish all men knew about why women shut down during conflict. It is rarely because she doesn't care. She cares. She cares a lot. We care a lot. 9 times out of 10, the reason why your woman is shutting down during conflict is because her nervous system has reached capacity. Very seldomly will a woman withdraw out of disrespect. We withdraw out of overload. Men tend to get more louder and more direct when they're upset. Women get quieter because our bodies are trying to stabilize. It's not because we're ignoring you. So ladies, next time you go silent when you're in a conflict with your significant other, don't feel like you need to rush to say something. That usually goes pretty bad. But do let him know that you're not ignoring him. Let him know that you're regulating. And men, if you hear her say that, give her space. Respect her pause. That's how you're going to get the best version of her back.
The biological hierarchy. Explain that when the body is exhausted, it enters survival mode. In this state, the brain prioritizes sleep, recovery, over sex, reproduction, your energy expenditure. The mental load. Discuss how decision fatigue makes the effort of physical intimacy feel like another chore rather than a release. The stress hormone loop. Explain how high cortisol, the stress hormone, actively suppresses testosterone and estrogen, the chemical drivers of libido.
Why your wife doesn't want to have as much sex as you, or she doesn't want to have sex at all. So for many men, sex is a stress relief. But for women, you need to actually relieve stress and then you can have sex. So as her husband, one of the best things you can do is help her to relieve her stress. You can help a woman, particularly your wife, relieve stress by allowing her to share, to talk, to vent, to complain. And I know this may feel a little bit uncomfortable because it might feel like she's blaming you or she's not happy and it's your fault, but I want you to stay strong. I want you to be her hero. I want you to be a soldier and just allow her to speak. Don't fix her problem, just allow her to share, because you'll find that at the end of it, she'll feel very different and she may just want to...
Let's talk about why your old lady doesn't want to fuck you anymore. Let's think. Number one is because the sex that she's had in the past hasn't been particularly pleasurable, memorable, and frankly, she's just glad to be over it. Number two is the fact that she's probably just really tired, exhausted. Maybe she's still working and maybe she's looking after grandkids as well. Maybe she's looking after you. And sex is just the one thing that she's got the power to decide. And she's decided that she's going to withhold that. I know it sounds harsh, but that's the way it sometimes goes. Number three, let's think of number three. Number three is that for most older women, we need to be aroused before we feel desire. So if we're feeling aroused, then we're going to want to have sex. But if you're just going in and not making us feel particularly horny, then yeah, the fact of the matter is that most of us are walking around on the planet without feeling horny most of the time. And it's only really when I'm in bed with somebody and they're doing something nice to me that I think, oh yeah, this is quite nice, feels good, and I want to do it. Otherwise, I'm just happy not to. So those are three solid reasons why your old lady might not be having sex with you anymore. You might have a few more of your own. I'm curious to hear. If you like my videos, please like and please follow and comment.
She cut you off from Pound Town and now you're trying to figure out, do I still get access or is it just done in the relationship? I love when a woman comments on one of my videos because it makes it better. She says, a lot of women lose desire to have Pound Town when they feel emotionally neglected. I see what you're saying and it makes sense, but if I'm not getting what I need emotionally, it's hard to feel the desire to have intimacy with your significant other. And then she goes on to say, like, you adding kids, home life, family, and all the help that the lack thereof. So when I talk about my videos, number one, I'm always talking about good men that are showing up for their wives, good men that are still continuously doing the things that need to be done around the house and with the children. And three, when a woman cuts off a man, honestly, let's be realistic. It usually starts with an excuse. The man says, okay, fine, that's understandable. Not a big deal. The excuse might be, I have a headache, my stomach hurts, whatever. Fill in the blank, right? And then she sees, wow, that was really easy and I didn't have to do anything. Let me just continue. And so the excuses build up. You're no longer taking your man to Pound Town. You're no longer having that intimacy relationship with your husband because you've gotten complacent with the excuses and just telling him no. And this is where women, usually the amnesia kicks in and the forgetfulness kicks in. So after the man has been not satisfied for a substantial amount of time, you got to understand what that does to a man psychologically. You're breaking down the way he feels as a man. He's no longer feeling like he's good enough for you. His emotions may be all over the place. I'm not a man. I can't tell you exactly what they're feeling, but I can tell you that you're literally just taking away his manhood. So when this happens, he emotionally disconnects from you. So he's no longer showing up emotionally for you. Okay? So follow me. So you started with the excuses. Couple months go by, he still sees that he's not getting the intimate relationship that he desires. So now he's disconnecting from you emotionally. So now you're not getting your desire met, he's not getting his desire met, and you're all in this complacent place in your relationship. Somebody has to give. If nobody gives, the relationship fails. And people are going to say, well, Pound Town isn't everything. No, it's not everything, but it's quite literally the glue that holds together the relationship. Without intimacy and sexual things happening within the relationship, what do you have? A glorified roommate, a mom or a dad? Like, that's literally what you have. Because if you take away that part, what are you left with in a relationship? So, my suggestion, if you're in this complacent place where too many excuses built up to an infinite no, and now he's disconnected from you, all you have to do is open up bedroom activities again. And I'm telling you, that man's going to open right back up to you. Men are not very hard to figure out creatures. Like, if you are engaging in schmexual activities with him, he's going to connect to you emotionally. Men are just wired different than women, and when we don't understand that and take acknowledgement of that, then you get to this like place that the relationship just fails. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. If I'm wrong, correct me. I love input, I love feedback, and like always, if you like my content, please like, share, and follow. Ciao.
Responsive desire versus spontaneous desire. Let's talk about the difference between these two. I've been coaching women for almost a decade, and I've coached thousands of women at this point. I can't believe I'm saying that. I have coached thousands of women at this point, and most of them will come to me and say, I do not have desire to have sex with my husband. And this is very specific to heterosexual relationships, because I coach women in all different types of relationships. But this is, okay, so I want you to save this, okay? Because this is really important, what I'm about to say. The quality of our sex lives, the quality of our sexual intimacy is a direct reflection of the quality of our emotional intimacy, okay? And intimacy is really interesting. There's 4 types. There's sexual intimacy, physical intimacy, spiritual intimacy, emotional intimacy. I'm sure if you talk to different people, they would probably have more for you. But those are the 4 core types of intimacy in any romantic relationship. But emotional intimacy and sexual intimacy are intrinsically tied. So if you are not feeling sexually attracted or wanting to have sex or be intimate with your male partner, this is a result of not having a stimulus to create a response in desire. Most men are a spontaneous desire, okay? Meaning they're a little bit more binary. They're like an on and an off. Like they can just kind of turn on very quickly by visual stimulus, a thought, a feeling, the wind blows, and it's very quick. It's spontaneous. It can kind of happen out of nowhere. Women need something to stoke that fire. This is responsive desire. Our systems are much more complex when it comes to experiencing pleasure, and they have to be. Our systems are rigged more for, we scan for safety. Our amygdalas are larger, which is the part in our brain that assesses for fear and danger and threat. And so in order for us to open and receive pleasure in sexual intimacy, we need to feel safe. Okay, we need to feel safe, and we need to have something that stokes the fire. Imagination, talk, dirty talk, touch, play, music, dance, movement, connection, physical connection, right? These are all stimuli. These are all things that create a erotic response from us, an erotic energy to start to come forward. And so when I'm coaching a woman who's like, I don't want to have sex with my husband, the first thing I go and talk about is, what is your emotional connection with this man? Do you trust him? Can you have truthful conversations with each other? Do you respect him? Does he respect you? Is respect at the baseline of your relationship? And 10 times out of 10, the answers are no. Right? He doesn't know how to connect with me emotionally. He is a little bit clueless. He's tapped out. He has no capacity for tears, emotion, emotional expression, wanting to connect about anything that's like deep and thoughtful and heartfelt, right? There's a kind of like intolerance for this kind of thing from their partners. And I do believe that we can shift this dynamic when us as women prioritize and practice being authentic in our relationships, becoming advocates for our needs, and learning to connect with him instead of just shutting down or becoming angry and resentful and closing off. But it does take a receptive partner. It does take a willing partner who is participating and engaging in your hooks for connection as well. I hope that helps.
Women that are married not having sex with their husbands, which they are completely out of order. Let me ask you this, and y'all friends, listen, when your friend tell you that she's divorced and she crying over your house and everything, ask her, look, sis, for real, when's the last time you had sex with your husband? They're not going to tell you it's been 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, months on end and years on end. Because they want to be right. You see what I'm saying? And the thing is that how men think of sex is completely different from how women think of sex. And I want to talk about this today. And brothers, if you're listening to this, please chime in, because I know that sometimes men feel like, man, she a woman. What's she doing? Talking about what a man need and all this. There's some brothers that's really militant about women speaking on those issues. But I'm telling you, my crowd is to women. So I'm not out of order in that, because I'm speaking to women in general. Praise the Lord. So what I want to mention is this, is a lot of women are not telling you that they're not having sex with their husband. They're just talking about the complaints that he do. But men have a way of crying out and being emotional when they don't get none. So the thing is that these women refuse to do it. They're mad at him for something, and that men are not mind readers. They need to tell him straight up what it is. And men need to also be more attentive. But this is about you, sis. You got to have sex with your husband. And let me stay on point here and talk about why. Men think of sex way more spiritual than women. Like, you know how you pray and you go into the Holy Spirit and you're thankful? Well, the man, you're his church. You're his church when you marry him. He look at you for sexual worship. And he's not out of order for doing this, because you are close to God, even though he's the head of the house. You see what I'm saying? You are his worship. So when you have sex with him, this cleanses his mind and his spirit, and it regenerates his love for you, but it also gives him the emotional and mental power to face his issues, his day, because work is tough. And when he goes to work, he's got to put a cape on. He shouldn't, when he come to you, he needs to be loved. Thank you.
I work with a lot of women whose male partners are very frustrated with them because the women do not want to have sex with the man. Well, there might be a good biological reason for that. If she has to work all day or take care of the kids all day and still has to, in the evening, do everything else, cooking, cleaning, laundry, everything else around the house, and he comes home from a day of work and then sits on a chair, recliner, plays video games all night, and he is essentially just acting like one of her children, well, a lot of women have this thing called a maternal instinct, which means that if you're acting like a child, then I'm not going to want to have sex with you, because this little thing in my brain turns off when I'm around somebody who is a child. We don't have sex with our children. So if you want your partner to start being sexually attracted to you, then you need to grow up and start acting like a man and a partner who will take care of things around the house and watch that sex drive increase.
Yesterday, I heard a piece of advice in a TikTok that literally blew my mind. She was a married woman talking about how she still has a good sex life with her husband, and she was listing all of the reasons why it's still good for her. But the thing that really got me was this. She said that he knows that foreplay isn't something that happens 10 minutes before sex. It starts the second that they wake up. And this really clicked for me, because I don't know about you, but when I start to feel shut down to my boyfriend, there's usually a deeper reason underneath of it. To me, intimacy is also the small moments that we share with each other throughout the day. It's the way that he looks at me, the things that we do for each other out of love, the way that he places his hand on my back or asks to go watch the sunset together. So just remember, if you're shut down, it's not out of nowhere. It's because those little things slip away so easily over time. But in the grand scheme of things, those are the things that keep you connected emotionally and physically.
I do not want to have sex with my husband. There is something deeply and terribly wrong with my marriage. What am I going to do? Do you have any idea how often I hear that? There's not necessarily something deeply and terribly wrong with your marriage. There may become something deeply and terribly wrong with your marriage if you never have sex, but that does not mean that there's something deeply and terribly wrong with marriage. It just means that you may have to learn a different way of approaching sex, your husband, your ideas of sex, your brain, hormones. We just need to look at that. And if we look at it together, it may make all the difference. But I don't want you going down that rabbit hole that like, oh my God, there must be something horrible in my relationship because I don't really want to have sex with my partner.
Responsive desire versus spontaneous desire. Let's talk about the difference between these two. I've been coaching women for almost a decade, and I've coached thousands of women at this point. I can't believe I'm saying that. I have coached thousands of women at this point, and most of them will come to me and say, I do not have desire to have sex with my husband. And this is very specific to heterosexual relationships because I coach women in all different types of relationships. But this is, okay, so I want you to save this, okay? Because this is really important, what I'm about to say. The quality of our sex lives, the quality of our sexual intimacy is a direct reflection of the quality of our emotional intimacy, okay? And intimacy is really interesting. There's 4 types. There's sexual intimacy, physical intimacy, spiritual intimacy, emotional intimacy. I'm sure if you talk to different people, they would probably have more for you. But those are the 4 core types of intimacy in any romantic relationship. But emotional intimacy and sexual intimacy are intrinsically tied. So if you are not feeling sexually attracted or wanting to have sex or be intimate with your male partner, this is a result of not having a stimulus to create a response in desire. Most men are a spontaneous desire, okay? Meaning they're a little bit more binary. They're like an on and an off. Like they can just kind of turn on very quickly by visual stimulus, a thought, a feeling, the wind blows, and there it's very quick. It's spontaneous. It can kind of happen out of nowhere. Women need something to stoke that fire. This is responsive desire. Our systems are much more complex when it comes to experiencing pleasure, and they have to be. Our systems are rigged more for, we scan for safety. Our amygdalas are larger, which is the part in our brain that assesses for fear and danger and threat. And so in order for us to open and receive pleasure in sexual intimacy, we need to feel safe. Okay, we need to feel safe, and we need to have something that stokes the fire. Imagination, talk, dirty talk, touch, play, music, dance, movement, connection, physical connection, right? These are all stimuli. These are all things that create a erotic response from us, an erotic energy to start to come forward. And so when I'm coaching a woman who's like, I don't want to have sex with my husband, the first thing I go and talk about is, what is your emotional connection with this man? Do you trust him? Can you have truthful conversations with each other? Do you respect him? Does he respect you? Is respect at the baseline of your relationship? And 10 times out of 10, the answers are no. Right? He doesn't know how to connect with me emotionally. He is a little bit clueless. He's tapped out. He has no capacity for tears, emotion, emotional expression, wanting to connect about anything that's like deep and thoughtful and heartfelt, right? There's a kind of like intolerance for this kind of thing from their partners. And I do believe that we can shift this dynamic when us as women prioritize and practice being authentic in our relationships, becoming advocates for our needs, and learning to connect with him instead of just shutting down or becoming angry and resentful and closing off. But it does take a receptive partner. It does take a willing partner who is participating and engaging in your hooks for connection as well. I hope that helps.
Here's the truth we don't say often enough. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you certainly can't spark a fire with damp wood. If exhaustion has killed your desire, the solution isn't trying harder. It's about lowering the stakes. It's about realizing that intimacy doesn't always have to be a grand production. Sometimes it's just holding hands while you're both half asleep, or acknowledging the fatigue together instead of feeling lonely within it. You aren't broken, you're just human, and you're tired. Give yourself the grace to recover, and the desire will find its way back when the lights aren't so bright and the weight isn't so heavy. If this video resonated with you, please share it with your partner. Sometimes, letting a video say the hard parts for you is the first step toward opening up a conversation. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of modern love. I'll see you in the next one.